A friend of mine had mentioned that he was at an auction and there was a couple items, and he took some pictures, and anyways, this was one of the things that I had him pick up for me, and it was definitely inexpensive. I just hope it wasn't cheap, but as I started to try and get ready to use it, what I need it for is actually for the Bridgeport. These bearing keepers here, I've seen more than one of these that have been blown out, and actually one on the mill was blown out. So what I did was, this was quite a while ago, I spun these up, and I want to put the 3 holes in it, and I thought, well, it would be a good use for this guy here. Picked up some little clamp bolts. Those are 1/4 by the way. This is a 4-inch rotary table. So anyways, it was difficult to, or still is difficult to turn here. So I thought I'd pull it apart, see what's going on here. And the other thing I wanted to do was maybe put a 30-degree lead in here, so that if I ever wanted to center something, there's a 5/16 18 thread down inside of here. If I ever wanted to have a centering pin or anything, I want it to kind of register on something, so I'm going to have a look at maybe doing that as well. There's not even a flat on this thing here. Boy, that's pretty tight. And this thing seems to move a little freer here without the pinion gear in there, or the worm gear, whatever that is. So I'm assuming these bearings would stay in place, and that should just drive out of there. I'm going to try and do that. So as I suspected, that just popped out of there. Looks like what's going on is the table is running here up against the housing, and then just a little bit there is caught in the bearing. And then one of the thing I noticed is they've got a hole, or a for the worm screw here. They've got the casting machined here, and the bearing is actually coming through. I'm just gonna look to see. Yeah, it actually looks like the. I'm not sure whether that shows up. I guess it's not touching it. It's pretty close. So I'm going to clean this up and stone it and see if we can get it to free up a bit. Actually, on closer inspection, there's already a an angled surface down in here, like a cone, I would say, probably from when they center drilled it. So I'm going to use that as my pilot. So basically I've just stoned this back edge here, and now I'm going to stone the housing. And then I think what I'll do is I'm just going to see what I can do with just a little bit of oil, maybe some lube. I don't know if that'll pull that in or not. No, it's not close enough yet. So I just threw that in the vise and just squeeze that together, and you can see the inner race is now moving. I don't think that was moving before. That's another thing I've just noticed too, is I don't think that shouldn't be proud like that. I think I might have pushed the bearing back out when I was putting that together like that. Got that recess. That was I just had to put I had to use a socket just big enough to catch that outer race and push that in. So that's still moving good there. It's a little bit of a spot. I'm gonna let that go, see how that fits when we get the worm gear in there next, which is pretty tight in here. Everything is just, it's like glue. You can see my fingers. Sticking to it. I'm going to clean this up and put some fresh lube on it and see what we get. Well, that's better. Next I gotta clean this thing out. Well, that is definitely an improvement, so we'll go with this. Let's see what we got here. With a little bit more time and effort, obviously this could really be cleaned up and requalified, and it's going to suit the purposes for what I need right now, which is a couple of clearance bolt holes spaced at 120 degrees, so should be no issues with that. Well, it feels better already, and I think to take the backlash out, I gotta have it turned all the way that way, and then this guy can go on. And then we get the handle on there. I could probably use just a touch of adjustment. About 2 degrees there, backlash. But it's definitely easy to turn now. So the next thing is going to be to get that centered on there and get it clamped down. And then we'll drill some holes and put some counterbores in there. So all in all, I think for the $20 I paid for it, I think I did all right. That was one of the other things I did. These T-nuts, the slots weren't quite. I guess if you have the stud going through it, it isn't going to go in. So these T-slots, I had to do just a little bit of massaging on them, and this one here still is a little tight. Yeah. Depending on the nut. These other ones are decent. Should work good.